Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the new Dad Rock. You know, Keith, every time I hear number 9, I always think of Revolution number 9.
Number 9? Number 9?
Yep, like that song from the White Album, The Beatles. I always think of that. It's episode 9, and here we are. This week's topic is metal.
Yeah, I know. Already?
No. We should have done it already. Episode 6. You know, episode 6. 6. We should have been doing it already.
Haven't we talked about metal in like half of the episodes? Baroness, Aranzi Pazuzu. You've gotten plenty of metal in already.
Yeah, but I think it's time for like a full-on diatribe about metal.
Great. I can't wait.
With metal, there's so much to talk about. Like, we could go on for hours and still not even scratch the surface.
I know you could. Maybe I should find a friend to cover for me on this episode. Jasper! Milo!
I think from now on we make every 6th episode about metal.
How about we wait until we get to 6th episode?
That will be the big one, man.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be the big one.
It would also be like 2034 or something. All right, so Steve, tell me about metal. You win.
Let's see. Well, what do you know about metal? Like, I know you saw Iron Maiden because you went with me. Do you know any other metal bands? Like, anyone else you've seen?
Does Pigface count?
Not really. Maybe you get, like, half credit. Where should we start with metal, then?
The beginning?
Yeah.
What was the beginning of metal?
Right. So what metal bands are you familiar with? Like, who do you know?
All right. Well, this is mostly because my friend Chris, he had a CD player, like the first kid to have a CD player. I think 87, 88, maybe we're in junior high school. So it was like Iron Maiden, Sepulchra, Flotsam, and Jetsam.
Sepultura.
Okay, so yeah. Metallica, Kiss, Ministry he got me into, even that first Weird album.
That's pretty random assortment.
Okay, no, I know others. I remember Queensryche had that album, and Motorhead. I understand some of these bands are not technically metal, but as you can see, most of my metal knowledge peaked in the late 80s.
I mean, all those pretty much count as metal, but I don't think there's one standard definition. I mean, like, when you go back to the beginning, it's Black Sabbath is generally recognized as, like, the first metal band, and then Steppenwolf around the same time used the term heavy metal thunder and Born to be Wild.
Yeah, I mean, Steppenwolf is In-a-Gadda-Da-Vida, Baby. I'm not sure the Baby's in the title. Is one of my dad's favorite songs. We had it on 8-track and listened to it in his Camaro. It was awesome.
Seriously?
Seriously. He had a Camaro and an 8-track.
Well, that's funny because there is definitely a metal version of that song. Slayer covered that song on the Less Than Zero soundtrack, which is like Robert Downey Jr. movie from like 1987. And then, okay, so that song, In-a-Gadda-Da-Vida, or In the Garden of Eden. Around that same time, there's Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, two bands that went out of their way to not be called metal.
And then a little bit later, you had Queen, UFO. You know, this is the early 70s. And then there's like the blues-oriented, doomy, heavy stuff. The doom, you know, that kind of stuff. Hawkwind was in there. And then by the mid-70s, it's like Aerosmith and AC/DC and Van Halen and Scorpions and Priest and like especially Kiss. They became like really poppy. They realized that there was a bit of a formula, and a lot of these metal songs like have pop structures with a lot of distortion.
I mean, isn't Kiss just a evolution of the New York City Dolls or something? New York Dolls?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the New York Dolls and Alice Cooper around the same time, and Peter Gabriel used to wear like face makeup, and obviously Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, that whole era. They had the glam, and then they had the blues rock, and then you sped it up a little bit. You know, you add some speed to the mix.
The drug?
Yeah. Well, speed and, you know, coke and pot and
acid.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want this to be a whole history of metal. There's this guy, documentarian Sam Dunn. He's the master of that. He has like Metal Evolution series, and he's done documentaries on Iron Maiden and Rush and ZZ Top. He's awesome.
Oh,
but you know, I'll maybe go down into some of my experiences with metal and how I got sent down that like dark, twisted road.
Well, a few weeks ago, there was this thing going around on Twitter about albums that shaped you.
I've been actually thinking about that a little bit more, and some of those selections, you know, were, I don't know, albums I really like, but maybe not exactly the right songs that sent me down the road. And you know how I feel about those seminal top 10 lists and the best of lists.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned something about not liking them, if I recall, in every episode.
Right, but there's a few things in the early 80s that really sent me down the road.
The road to hell you went down?
Well, figuratively, more like just the road to becoming a metalhead. I mean, I remember, like, as an elementary school kid on the school bus, this sixth grader in the back of the bus had a boombox, and he'd play Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC.
How old were you?
Well, he was the sixth grader, and I remember him being big, so maybe, like, I was in third grade, fourth grade at the most, so, like, 8. And around the same time was, like, Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll. I thought that song, that song was so heavy.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean I Love Rocky Road by Weird Al Yankovic? That's one of the first songs I listened to.
Yeah, well, that would have obviously come a little bit later. I think he was inspired by Joan Jett, not the other way around.
Oh man! So my first heavy metal song besides In-a-Gadda-Da-Vida was Weird Al Yankovic, "I Love Rocky Road." Crazy.
Well, what about Eat It? Wasn't that even? I guess that would have been later.
That's Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And then what else? Like Tom Sawyer by Rush was everywhere, and then the first number one album. The number one metal album on the charts. And
Wait.
You know what it is?
I know it. Hold on. Quiet Riot, Mental Health.
Mental Health, exactly. Exactly. And then I think Scorpions Rock You Like a Hurricane. You know, I think the Scorpions were pretty big at the time, but I was like 10 years old living in suburban Albany, New York.
You know, I had a good friend, my room, we had not homeschool. What is that? A homeroom in school. So he loved Kiss. He had his denim jacket with the Kiss on. He smoked cigarettes all the time. He ends up actually marrying kind of like my first girlfriend. Yeah, anyway, never mind. Go on.
I remember, did you guys have like jean jackets with like the
that's exactly what I'm talking
pins?
About. Yeah, Kiss.
That was awesome. And yeah, well, Kiss maybe for you, but for me, like Game, Set, and Match, it was like Iron Maiden. Like the album covers were in like Caldor on display at the mall. At that time, they had like 4, maybe 5 records. I think it was like Peace of Mind was probably the newest one. And they're all in a row up there. And I'm like 10 years old, just like staring at this like Eddie incarnation being like, that's what I want to listen to.
Whoa. Hold on. Just to clarify before, I was not the one with the Kiss pins. That was my friend, Tom. Okay? I did win in 12th grade a 9 Inch Nails Pretty Hate Machine leather jacket at Siberia, which was the underage industrial club, but not Kiss.
When was this?
I guess, 90? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you're jumping ahead, man. I haven't even gotten a thrash. Like 85, 86 Metallica, Ride the Lightning. I was listening to that on the ski bus. And, you know, thrash metal, that was like the speed and screechiness of Iron Maiden just turned up another notch.
Well, the 90s killed all this.
Iron Maiden practically died. Priest had Painkiller in 1990. Megadeth, Rust in Peace, Slayer. Those were like the last album, Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer. And then Metallica held up another year or two, and then
what about Pantera? Yeah.
Yeah, groove metal. Like
gotcha.
That whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like this whole new metal era with like Korn and Slipknot, and I just really in the 90s I really stopped listening to metal. So I lost track.
Is Linkin Park metal? Just because you said Korn and Slipknot, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, it's that new metal. It was.
Got you.
I really did not enjoy it. So I was not in the 90s. I listened to alternative music.
How come they How come they spelled new and you? That makes no sense. Well, anyway, what got you back into metal?
Well, 1999, Iron Maiden gets back together with not only Bruce Dickinson, but Adrian Smith, who, you know, 2 of their top 3 songwriters in the band come back. And
was this 2000, like the new millennium?
Well, 99, they had their tour. 2000 is when the album came out. And it's right as the same time that, you know, our old friends Pavement, 99, they ended. And then Maiden comes back. You know, they did a short tour. Of course, the date in San Jose was canceled, and then the new album came out in like May 2000, and then we saw them in September.
Yeah, at Shoreline, right before you got married. Yeah, and I got this cool West Ham Iron Maiden soccer jersey that you still covet to this day, but it's 20 years later and it does not fit me anymore. Well,
you have two kids to hand that down to.
I wasn't okay. I thought you were about to say I had 2 kids, and I'm like, I didn't really have them myself.
Yeah.
All right. So what got you back into metal?
Really, it was just Iron Maiden.
The concert ruled. I don't know. I do remember them doing like literally songs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 off their new album, I think, and then they went to their greatest hits.
They're pretty stubborn. But then, throughout the 2000s, I feel like metal started to gain some momentum. There was more, especially in the extreme metal genres like black metal and death metal and all of that kind of stuff.
What happened after that concert?
It was a slow process. I listened to Iron Maiden on the side. You remember in the opening episode, I talked about reviewing albums in 2003. I was busy having kids, and then along the way, Joey Belladonna rejoins Anthrax, Slayer put out a couple decent records, Death Angel reformed, and then iTunes. I started downloading everything, and you have much more access. So I'm still listening to the 80s thrash that I loved, Overkill and Testament and Metal Church and Sanctuary.
Megadeth?
Yeah, I've seen Megadeth a ton, 5, 6, 7 times easy. They were never my favorite band, and especially Dave Mustaine. His voice is terrible live, but they have some unimpeachable classic albums and songs.
Their new one's pretty good.
Yeah, Dystopia, which is 2016. It's easily their best since Rust in Peace, or at least Euthanasia. Definitely better than Countdown to Extinction.
So you became a metalhead.
Like I said, I always liked Maiden, and when they come through New York, I'd see them, and to my wife's chagrin, wear their shirts here and there. And people I think thought I was more of a metalhead than I really was, but I didn't really do anything to dispel the notion.
You welcomed it.
I was open to it. We could go on for a long time with this.
Yeah, let's call it game, man. I think it's been about enough time right now.
I'm sorry. I could go on forever.
Yeah, so we're going to wait to 666 show, right?
No. There's a lot more to unpack about metal. Like, there have been studies showing that people who like both heavy metal and classical music tend to have higher IQs. They're less likely, this is surprising, less likely to be psychopaths. We can go talking about different genres.
I want to see the actual studies on this. I don't believe this at all.
I'll forward these out to you. They're pretty easy to find, and the irony is just rich, especially after we were talking about the censorship and all of that battle in the 80s.
Yeah. So we adding any
metal's rise?
So we adding anyone to the new Dad Rock Hall of Fame this week?
I think in deference to their legendary status, we'll add Black Sabbath. With the caveat that Black Sabbath is definitely Dad Rock. And we are the new Dad Rock. So you have to listen to more than Paranoid and War Pigs and Iron Man. Man. In fact, make it your duty, your homework, dear listeners, to find 5 great Black Sabbath songs that are not on their greatest hit album, We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, which only encompasses their first 5 albums. So you have a lot to work with.
Wait. Black Sabbath had more than 5 albums?
Black Sabbath had almost that many singers.
Oh my God! Okay, yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, so if you're looking for great songs, though, I'll give you a tip. Check out some of the albums they did with Ronnie James Dio on lead vocals. They did 3 with him, especially 80 and 81. They did Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules.
I thought you said we were finishing.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
And I promise we can do another episode on metal in say 6 weeks.
We're gonna sneak in a little metal every week.
Oh, good Lord.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening.